All right, we are live for another episode of a live chat with Wingman115. My name is Andy Tran with InnerBark Outdoors, and I'm a YouTuber and designer of the Tops Tacoma field knife. If you guys haven't heard already, it is in the pre-order phase right now. But I have Wingman with me. He's been doing these live chats for a while, and today we have a special guest, Bryan from Survival on Purpose. You can find his channel at youtube.com/survival on purpose, and he has a lot of things that he covers that we're really interested in, and hope you guys check him out. So you guys have anything else to say?
I'm John with the Wingman115 channel. Andy and I do this bi-weekly show. We're happy to have Bryan on with Survival on Purpose. Bryan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your channel and what you do?
Well, I'm glad. Thanks for having me on. First of all, guys, I'm pretty excited about this. I've been watching your channels for a while, and I think this is an honor, so I appreciate it. But once again, my name's Bryan. I've got a channel called Survival on Purpose, and I was a Boy Scout when I was a kid, and I've been in Scoutmaster. My oldest son's the Eagle Scout. I've got 3 other boys in Scouts, so I've been kind of involved in the outdoors for, I'm dating myself here, but probably for over 40 years, 45 years. I'm 54 now, so I've been doing it since I was about 10, on and off. And I just kind of really got into, like everybody else, survival shows became a big rage a few years back with Bear Grylls and Survivor Man, all those guys, and I really enjoyed watching those shows. And I thought, but I also noticed that I really don't know a lot of people that like eating bugs and stuff like that. And I think that sometimes people get the idea that if I don't want to go to that extreme, then I can't go out there and have a good time. And so I decided I would just make a channel just kind of showing, A, that I'm not an expert. I'm just a normal, ordinary guy. And you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to go, have all these degrees and be a special forces guy and all that. You can just go out and have a good time in the woods and still learn the skills that if something did happen, you could survive and be okay, and you wouldn't be worm food. So that's kind of where I got the start to make this channel.
It's funny that you said that, because I've been watching this show called Ultimate Survival Alaska on Nat Geo, and the folks that won, they had a military team, a mountain team of mountain climbers, endurance racers, and then the woodsmen. Well, the people that won were the endurance racers, and the military team kind of came in second place, or they were tied with the mountaineers. So having the military experience, sometimes what I saw watching the show kind of hurt them a little bit, because of how they're thinking, the hard charging and not thinking things through sometimes. Not to take anything away from the military experience, I prior service, but it's good to be well-rounded in things and taking in different ideas and all that.
I'd probably add to that, though, it's like, well, in the military, they teach you to succeed and to not get in those situations, but mainly, as far as infantry goes, your main purpose to go in country is to, take care of bad guys. And that's not necessarily trekking 30-plus miles, within, 70 hours or whatever it is.
Right.
But yeah, definitely being well-rounded is going to be what makes you successful. And being flexible, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't do these days. They get stuck in their ways, and I think that's something that's really cool about Bryan's channel, is you kind of branch out and you do certain things, and you're not telling people that, you have to drink your own piss or anything like that.
Not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
And maybe on a bet, one of these days. But it's cool that there's people out there that enjoy the stuff that don't go to the extremes, because sometimes the extremes are pretty, well, one, they're usually pretty gross, and then 2, they're kind of dangerous for the untrained person. So real skills for real people, taught by folks just like you and me. So that's pretty cool.
Well, that's one of the big things that that impressed me, to get me to hit that subscribe button when I start watching you, is that you have a way of saying it where you're not trying to overthink things. You're keeping it simple, and you know, it's just easy to understand, easy to process, and they're fun to watch, you know, on your videos. With that, you know, one of the things that viewers probably want to know is, what's your main motivation for posting videos?
Well, like I said, I think, excuse me, I've seen a lot. There's a lot of YouTube videos and channels out there, related to bushcraft and survival and camping, all that stuff. And I think sometimes people get the impression that people could get the impression that you gotta have to spend a whole lot of money, you gotta buy some really super expensive gear, and you gotta have all this, you gotta really have all this primitive knowledge and skill to have any fun. And all that stuff's fun, but I think, in my opinion, the learning part of it is as much fun as having learned it, and you know what I mean, and just having it under your belt, just practicing those skills and learning them. And when you finally accomplish something, it's like, wow, I own that now, and I got some satisfaction. And again, I am not an expert at anything. I don't claim to be an expert. I don't hold myself out to be an expert. I'm just a regular guy. But I think there's a lot of us out there that can learn from each other. And I've got some skills. I like what Andy said one time. I think that maybe it's on your website, but you said that I don't know everything. I just know enough. Something to that effect. And I think that's the way that I feel. There's a lot of stuff that I'm learning right now, but I do have enough knowledge and skill, I think, that maybe I could help somebody else that's coming along. And we can all learn from each other. I tell you, I learn something from every comment, every video I make, from the comments below. I always learn something. I'm always watching other videos, learning stuff. And it's just about kind of sharing those skills and knowledge and trying to help people along. I tell you, as a Boy Scout leader, I've been really working with the young guys that come in, and I see some of their parents and stuff. Some people never been in the woods before, yeah. And now their kids are getting up and they're trying to learn what they're doing, and this things that we take for granted. They don't know what kind of tent to have. They don't know if they need a tent. They don't know what kind of cooking gear they need. Just basic stuff. Not to be a bushcraft traditional reenactor kind of guy or whatever, which is cool if you want to do that. But I mean, just to go out and have a good time in the woods.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I think that the hardcore bushcraft, classic camping kind of guys makes it seem a little bit inaccessible, because not only is the gear rather expensive unless you're making it, it's hard to get, because all these things are handmade. And I think that's a turn off for a lot of people, me included. It's like I like to get stuff that I can readily get and have fun, and yeah, it's crazy. I was at this one primitive skills gathering, and it happens every year, so the nearby town knows about it. And I saw this one father. He had 2 kids and a pretty hot wife, but that's not really the point. The point was he wanted us, because I was doing the hand drill stuff, learning to do hand drill, and he came by, and he didn't even have a pocket knife on him to even carve the notch or anything like that. And to me, that boggled my mind, because my entire life my dad had that. So there's definitely a lot of people that have never really stepped foot on dirt, let alone gone camping. It's pretty crazy.
Well, I think that's what we touched on last time we were talking, that I can only speak for myself. Sometimes I take for granted that my audience has done this and they know what I'm talking about, and I need to take a step back and go, you know what? There may be folks that have not done camping or bushcraft style things before, and this is all new to them. So I can't just assume that everybody's at the same skill level. So for folks that are watching that might leave a comment going, you've already done that already or whatever, this might be somebody's first time watching your channel and your videos, so you can't just assume that everybody's watched your whole catalog or library of videos. And and assuming gets people hurt. Look at people that climb Everest that try to hit the window and then they get caught up there, and then the people in their expedition wind up dying from exposure or whatever. So great comment that you said about not knowing everything, because the people that think they know everything wind up getting people killed out there.
Yeah.
Well, I also know enough to know that I need to know more.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
this is a lifelong school that we're doing. That outdoor living skills and preparedness skills. That's a lifelong school that we have to attend. Because it's just like shooting, right? It's a perishable skill. If you don't keep staying brushed up on first aid or fire making, or like we were talking offline one time, Andy, about the hand drill skills and stuff like that, those skills are going to perish for you. You're not going to be able to rely on that when you need them the most.
Yeah, and some people get a little frustrated with me, because when I'm talking online with, you or someone else, I have my spindle and I'm running it through my hands. And that's just to keep, like the soft tissues in your hand tough and your skin thick, so that when you have to do it later on, you're not going to get a blister or you're not going to get bruised, because that's pretty darn common, especially with this technique. But Bryan, did we talk about where you're from and where you're based out of? Because I think that's a lot to do with each individual channel. Because Wingman, you're in SoCal. I'm up in the Pacific Northwest, in the evergreen forests. Where are you based out of?
I am right outside of Atlanta, Georgia, in the beautiful southeast. And I've been here all my life, and so that's pretty much all my. And I haven't really traveled a lot, been to any exotic locations or anything. All my outdoor experiences, pretty much, in Georgia and in Alabama and these, surrounding areas here. The eastern woodlands, I guess, is what you would call it, maybe. The mountains I've been to, the Appalachian Mountains. I've not been to the Rockies, although I would like to. And I will also, we talked about. I'm going to back up just for a second. I don't want anybody to think that I have anything against traditional bushcraft and all. I think that stuff is really cool. That's all that whole primitive skills and all that. That's some really cool stuff. It's just that I think people, like you said, Andy, that people can get the idea that you got to have all this expensive gear, and there's definitely a time and place for expensive gear. If you're going to Mount Everest, you don't need to go to Walmart to buy your gear.
Yeah.
But if you can afford the trip, if you can afford the trip to Everest, you can afford the gear. But if you're going to your backyard or you're going to your national forest near your house, maybe you don't need. You can find some better alternatives, I think, and not spend your whole fortune, and not let that stop you from getting out there and having a good time. That's the key for me.
Yeah, we talked about that a while back about, my belief is that you start out with something affordable, and then, because we all see, especially in Scouts too, because I'm a volunteer in Scouts, that you see folks go out and then you immediately want to get the A-list equipment right off the bat, and then a week later they decide, hey, I don't like rock climbing, or I don't like backpacking. And then you've invested all this money into it when you need to go out and experiment a little bit, and then if you figure out, hey, yeah, John really does like backpacking, then you start looking at the higher end stuff that's going to suit your needs. And rather than throw a lot of money into something that you're going to wind up putting on Craigslist and somebody else is going to get a sweet deal in about a month or two.
That's a good point, yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in that game. Now, there's certain items that you don't skimp on, water filtration system, or, a good jacket, a good pair of pants or something, but there's certain things like we talked about starting out. You don't need the top-of-the-line flashlight or a top-of-the-line headlamp right off the bat.
Right.
Figure out what.
Because most of my activities are during the day, and I'm going to sleep when the sun goes down. Me personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's times like in Scouts where you're going to hit a big hill and you might take off at dark 30. That way you can get up there for when the sun comes up, or things come up. You might get caught backpacking, and all of a sudden, the time got away from you, and it's a little bit later than you thought, and all of a sudden you're still 2 miles away from base camp.
Yeah, I have a Phoenix light. I think is 400 lumens, and that's pretty good for pretty much everything I'm going to do. Although that flashlight that you had, that big giant, summer sausage thing, Pretty cool. And I might fancy playing with that and cooking something, but yeah, as far as, there's some things that I mean, I have very standard things on. It's like some people will bring a full-on OtterBox to keep their cameras and stuff like that in when, just a regular Ziploc Tupperware disposable thing is going to do just fine. So, there's things you can skimp on, there's things that you can't, and it just kind of depends on who you are and how much money you have and how, physically strong you are.
Hey, I'm going to do a quick couple shout-outs here from the people watching on the YouTube side. For folks that don't know, a lot of times I moderate the comments on YouTube. So if you're watching and you have a comment or a question that you want asked by the panel or the guest, post it up. We have Joshua here tonight. We have InNo Visions here tonight. Michael Perkins is here tonight. Living Survival's here tonight. Ultimate Survivalist is here. Let me scroll down. Dave Lynn is here tonight. So Mick Bator is here tonight. So welcome all you folks. One gentleman asked a question real quick. Wanted to know, Bryan. They know that. Do you play music for your intro?
Yeah, that's me.
And what influences influenced you in music?
Man, when I was a kid, my dad played guitar, and I started playing guitar with a $6 Sears and Roebuck cut your fingers off, guitar, and just always wanted to be a rock star. I guess I never made it, but I like playing guitar, and used to listen to a lot of John Denver back in the day. I'm dating myself, but just always liked guitar music. It's pretty cool now. I've got my two sons that are way past me in skill, and it's just pretty cool to hear them jam out. But
Prepare One is here tonight. He has a question. He goes, "Where do you want to take your channel in the future?"
Wow, that's a pretty good question. Bigger than Dave Canterbury? No, honestly, what I want to do, it's what I really like is just when people, the interaction, and the fact that to feel like maybe somebody's been getting some benefit from what I'm doing. Look, I think none of us are getting rich on YouTube. I mean, no, we're probably not making enough money even to cover our costs. But that's not really what it's about. If that's what your goal is, then you're in the wrong venue, I think. It's just I would like to. I think I'd be lying if I didn't say, like everybody else, it'd be great if this could be my full-time job. If I could be a full-time YouTuber. I know there's a lot of folks that do that. We'll just have to see how it goes. I mean, it's not. I've got a good job, so I'm not hungry. So at the same time, I think anytime if you're going to do something, you ought to strive for excellence. And so that's my goal, just to put out the best channel I can and see where it goes.
Yeah.
I think it was Tops Knives that put out a quote today on their Facebook page, something to the extent of, you don't have to be the best, but you have to be of value or something like that. And I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's pretty difficult to get to that stage. I'm not there yet, for sure, of being able to pay the bill with YouTube. Be awesome, but it's also the dilution of content. There used to be a few people, and now a lot of people are doing it. So, but that's where we have to differentiate yourself, and I think that's where you're starting to go, is that you're putting out some pretty decent content. I mean, I know you upgraded your camera and your audio systems, and you're doing a little bit more editing and post-production, so it turns out pretty good. And I think I appreciate that, because I'm tired of seeing a bunch of things that are like one of these, and someone's like, all right, I'm going to be doing a video on this, and then do something like one of these. And it's like, please just put a close-up of it. And I'm guilty of that too, but I limit it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's a lot of folks including myself, that we're still a work in progress on our videos, and you know, I think even Nut and Fancy calls his style, you know, guerrilla filming, but for him it works. You know, that isn't going to work for a lot of us. You know, my goal is that I'm just trying to put out maybe some knowledge that, you know, there's no reinventing the wheel. You're not going to do that, but maybe you can spin how it's built a different way to where folks, maybe a couple people grasp how it is, and then you've bettered the community by that. Even if you get to one viewer and
Right.
it's helped them, you've bettered the outdoor community by that. And that's kind of like what we do in scouting too, you know, with Leave No Trace and teaching the kids on how to get, you know, in advancement in hopefully the Eagle one day. But you know, you're hoping that years later that kid or maybe that viewer's going to go, you know what? Hey, I remember watching this campy guy that was out in the mountains and used to talk about this, and yeah, hey, I remember how he did that, and maybe it'll help a situation that person might be in. You never know how you're going to touch somebody like that.
Yeah, as corny as it might sound, because I was talking to the kids last night at Scouts about just the skills that we learn and the things. Like I say, it might sound corny, but every time I make a video, I try to keep myself reminded that, you know, I need to be accurate. I need to make sure that I'm explaining things clearly, because it may not be rocket science, but it might be something that really could save somebody's life one day. Some of the stuff that we talk about on these videos in this community, you know, if we take it for granted, but it literally could be a life-saving thing. It's something as basic as fire, you know, or shelter, or keeping your body's core temperature right. There's people that just get in situations that are not prepared for, and one little piece of knowledge could be the difference between life and death. And I don't want to over dramatize it and make it melodramatic, but that I try to keep that in the back of my mind, because, you know, you don't want to give people false information, and it's not just about making videos. You know, there's a certain level of responsibility I feel like we have when we do something like this. That may sound funny, but you know.
And you know, it's something like I can explain things as well as I can and show it as best I can, and some people still can't get it. And as much as I would love everyone to just get it right off the bat, sometimes it does require that they need to go to an actual established school and learn hands-on. Because, you know, I can go back and forth for a half an hour saying, like, well, try this, try that, but, you know, in the end of the day, you know, I would rather just fly over there, show them how to do it, and call it good. And I started the channel because I've always wanted to go to a survival school as a kid, but never being able to afford it, it was pretty difficult. So I had to learn a lot of things on my own. And so that's why I'm putting out this information, you know, free to people, so that they can learn these skills and hopefully take away something from it and possibly teach other people too.
Right.
I got a couple questions. This is for, and I'm going to mispronounce it, please. Some of these handles. Shoto Kiddo is the YouTuber. He says, "Good evening, gentlemen. Can you say more about your backgrounds in scouting or other influences that led you to this?" I think we touched a little bit upon that, but if you could elaborate a little bit.
Well, I was a Boy Scout in the early '70s, and we had a pretty a medium-sized to small troop. We did a lot of hiking, you know, on the Appalachian Trail, that kind of stuff, and the kind of high adventure stuff. And then now I've been a scout master from my oldest son, 27. He's an Eagle Scout. I was his scout. I was scoutmaster in his troop for a while after the other scoutmaster quit. Now I'm back with scouts with my 3 younger sons, and we I was a cub leader in the cub, you know, when they came up through cubs. So I've kind of done everything, been trained, been through a lot of different classes and whatnot. But the most fun I had was when my oldest son was his last year in scouts. We did like an kind of like an off-camp kind of deal. It was a high adventure deal. We went backpacking and caving and, you know, whitewater rafting and climbing, rappelling, and all that in a week. It was pretty cool. So just been kind of involved in Scouts for most of my life, and I think it's a really good program, and I think it's really important to those, even though those skills you learn, you may not have a lifelong outdoor job or something like that, but those skills that you learn, just the self-sufficiency and the ability to make decisions and to have that confidence, that carries with you at anything you want to do. I think it's a great program.
Oh, I agree. Just the leadership skills in and of itself. I mean,
Yeah.
You're learning leadership skills at such a young, formative age. Myself, just like you, I was in Troop 178, Portage Lake, Maine. Back in 1976, we formed that troop, and I stayed in it until I graduated high school. Unfortunately, I didn't make Eagle. I was a Star Scout because we had our 5th grade school teacher was our scoutmaster, so every summer we're doing like the Allagash Wilderness Waterway for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, or we're at summer camp for a couple weeks. So not to take away trying to advance to Eagle, but it was just so much fun doing outdoor stuff that I didn't get caught up doing more of the merit badge stuff. And then as an adult, I got involved as an assistant scoutmaster for my nephew's troop here in San Diego. Then I kind of took a vacation for a couple of years, and then a friend of mine who was a unit commissioner for the district asked me if I would come on and help the district to promote scouting and to help troops from a district level to try to help scouting more globally than just in the troop with numbers. And I've done that for a while, and I also work with a venture crew, a high adventure crew here in San Diego, a co-ed one, where we do a lot of mountain climbing, rafting, caving, search and rescue stuff. So there's a lot of good things. I mean, I posted one video of our survival camp. You know, obviously you can't go Bear Grylls stuff with, or who wants to go Bear Grylls? Bad analogy there, but let's say Les Stroud, you know. But still, the kids, like we were talking about earlier, maybe the first time they get out in the woods and see a tree. So for them, this is a major event. You know, we did 3 days like a survival school. So, you know, for me, scouting has enriched my life so much, and so many great memories, so many good friends, that it's taught me so much about the outdoors, so much about leadership, and just a respect for everything like that. Just I could do a whole show on that. It's just crazy how it's enriched my life.
Well, for me, it started, you know, as anyone else, as a little kid. You know, I live in the city, but, you know, right after preschool and daycare and that sort of thing, my dad would pick me up right after his work, and then we'd go fishing for a few hours at like a local lake or something like that. And that kind of, you know, then he was out of the picture for a while, long while, until like the end of high school. And I got involved with a lot of my like best friends' dads. You know, they were like, you know, one of them attempted Everest, and a few other things like that. So they were really into the outdoors. Got in with them, backpacking and that sort of thing. And then I got into a youth kind of program run by the city of Seattle called the O2 program. And it's really cool, where it's a lot of inner city kids, but basically they go out on overnight trips every month. I think rock climbing every 2 weeks, and they do special trips like river rafting and all that stuff. So I got more into it then, and then I became a cameraman during high school and after high school. And I was doing a lot of documentary stuff in the outdoors, and then I was also doing a lot of action sports cinematography. And so that required me to hike in and carry all my own gear, because once you're out on the trail, there's no getting back, you know, unless you get like a helicopter or something like that. You need something right away. And then eventually I started working for Contour Cameras, and that kind of killed my soul. So then I quit that job, started doing the YouTube stuff, and now I'm here. So basically doing this full time as a cameraman.
What's great is that I think we bring a little bit of our backgrounds, obviously, to our channels, and it kind of shows in our videos and what we do. There's a question here by Prepared One. It goes, other than the Wingman and InnerBark channels, what is Bryan's favorite go-to channels?
Wow. I have to admit that I like Prepared Mind 101. That's actually how I found out about Andy's channel, was watching one of Chris's videos about the wonderful Tacoma field knife, which is really cool. And then I watched most of Dave Canterbury's videos for a long time. I did binges, you know. So I think there's a lot of. I still like his videos. He's got some really good knowledge on there. He was actually probably one of the reasons that kind of inspirations to me starting my own channel, just because I thought, you know, if this guy can do it, I can do it, right? And then probably Black Owl Outdoors. I like those guys a lot, just because I like they do a pretty good job on cinematography. And there's a very, very small channel that I really like. It's called Uper Survival, and the reason I say that, there's a couple of guys. When I first started, I didn't know what to expect from this YouTube thing. I thought, you know, we've all seen the negative, hateful stuff that goes on, the bad comments, and the people just trashing you and just. And I was kind of hesitant, thinking, okay, you know, am I going to be accepted here? Because obviously I'm brand new to this whole game. And a couple of guys really jumped out and supported me. Uper Survival was one. PA Bushcraft was one. MI Wisman was one. There's a couple of those guys that they're great little channels. I say little channel. I don't mean that little channels. I mean they're not like Dave Canterbury's channel. They're just like me, you know, like regular guys. But they have some good knowledge, and that's what I've found is in this whole community is that there is so much good knowledge out there, and so many people that are willing to share that knowledge that we can all kind of learn from each other, and that's what's so great about it. Because, like I said, I learned something from comments. I watch other people's videos, and there's always I was very, very pleasantly surprised to see the willingness on people just to share and help each other out, and to just embrace and really welcome me into this community, and that was just so cool. So those are some of the people I watch, I guess.
Cool.
I like Andy's behind the scenes channel too. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's just kind of dinking around while the camera's not rolling on the project. But you know, I'm going to be highlighting a lot more stuff on the road trip here this upcoming summer, because I'm going to be driving over and you know, with my mom, because she's never been across the country. So I'm going to take her across the country, show her some of the cool stuff, Yellowstone, probably Glacier, and then a few others. And going to go see my girlfriend's graduation. And then right after her graduation, she's going to be spending some time with her family, because she's going to be moving back to Seattle. So, you know, for that 5-day period or so, I'm going to be hanging out at the New River Gorge. So I'm going to be taking a friend over there from West Virginia, and then I'm also going to be meeting with someone that's very cool, which I probably won't announce just yet, but he's been on other channels like Equip to Endure and that sort of thing, and so we're going to do some rock climbing, some camping, and a little bit of filming as well, so that'll be pretty cool.
Cool.
No, that is pretty awesome. Some of the people that influenced me while I've been on YouTube since 2006. I'm dating myself, and I mostly did it just to share family videos before YouTube became like what it is today. I mean, it wasn't nowhere near the social media program that it is today. But about, I want to say 2010, 2011, I started watching Canterbury, and one thing that interested me about Canterbury is the hook line was "Let's learn together," and I was like, you know what? That is the perfect mentality to have. And when I'm doing videos, I'll say, like, there's no way in hell I could do a hand drill fire like Andy does it, because I don't practice it. Doesn't mean I can't do it, just I don't practice that skill enough to where I'm confident to say I own that skill. But I'd be willing to learn together how to do it, like that. I don't want to say like we were talking about earlier that we're a know-it-all and that we do what we do. I don't think there's any expert that anybody who says they're an expert, you need to double check their credentials, because we're all still students in life learning this. I know a lot of people are polarized about Nut and Fancy and that. He does a lot of good stuff for the community with awareness on things. Some people don't like his gun videos. Well, hey, that's the good thing about YouTube. You can pick and choose what you want to watch. I have subscribers that subscribe, then they turn around and unsubscribe, and then 6 months later they subscribe again. That's fine. If what I'm doing you're not comfortable with right now and you want to take a break, take a break. I'll always be here for you. You're welcome to come back anytime you want. There's some people that get mad that if I don't keep doing knife videos consecutively or flashlight reviews consecutively. For me, I'm just Joe Sixpack having a beer in his garage. I like doing multiple different things, or else if you eat oatmeal for breakfast every day, it's going to get old. So you got to shake things up a little bit and do different things. And yeah, we're always going to do the knife video. Once in a while, we're always going to do a flashlight review once in a while. It'll come around. Be patient. But yeah, we'll shake it up and throw in a trip video or something, because that's how we learn stuff. I love seeing the country like where you guys are at. And Bryan, I'd like to see more like woods videos out where you're at, because I'm just fascinated by how country looks. Like when Andy shows those mountains in the background, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta book a Southwest Airline trip like right freaking now, and get there. But what's great is, and what appeals me to people's channels is that I live vicariously through your travels, and then it sparks me to go out and try to pursue things more out in the woods or learning a skill and doing things. And I think that's what motivates me to try to put out content. And of course, when I see Andy's videos, it's like, damn, I got to step up my game, because this guy's Hollywood action, and I'm freaking, B-list material here. But as long as the content's there and the subject matter's there and people are learning, I'll watch folks.
I watched quite a few. I don't probably as much as I would need to stay up to date with everything, because aside from I work at home, or I'm like in Renton or Bellevue or some like city nearby filming, I got that. And then if I'm not doing that, if I can, I'm out camping, so I don't have too much time here at base camp to check out those videos. But Dave Canterbury's stuff I do watch. And there's a couple others. I like Cutlery Lovers stuff, although I don't vape or anything like that, so all that smoking and that sort of thing I stay away from. And Prepare Mind 101, started watching him recently, and then got to know him a little bit. Sent him one of the Tacoma field knives to test, and yeah. So there's a good handful of people that I watch, but I won't tell all the channels that I watch, just because some of them are embarrassing.
Hey, Andy, Ultimate Survivalist wants to know if you and I have ever met in real life.
No, unfortunately not. I'm
yet.
trying to kidnap you to get over here and then like hold you hostage here in the Pacific Northwest, because I think after you get a taste of like a 100-round drum magazine and the mountains and kind of the natural freedoms that we're supposed to have, I think it's going to be pretty hard for you to get back.
See, I'm going to get up close to the camera. See, he's giving me a hard time because California won't let me own that.
You get something like this, a nice little 10-round.
But
Georgia will.
With that, what we're thinking of is that we're working on a panel that's going to cover let me get in close, 4 points of the U.S. So we're going to have a Southeast contingent, and Bryan, hopefully you'll volunteer to be our correspondent for down there. Andy's in the Northwest. I'm down here in the Southwest. We need just a Northeaster. So if there's a Northeaster out there that wants to apply to be the unofficial reporter from that area, because I think it's good to have a forum like this, and then we talk about the different regions and the different things we have to deal with. Like, you're in Georgia, you probably have to deal with more ticks and chiggers and things like that. I don't deal with that stuff out here.
Man, we get ticks every time. I don't go out that my kids at least don't get ticks, and they usually get them in the strangest places.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's that Brad Paisley song, you know, ticks.
Yeah. You know, I'm living in Georgia, but I don't listen to much country music. I'm more of a Eric Clapton kind of guy, Stevie Ray Vaughan.
All right, I can dig that. Well, it's like, you know, for me going over, you know, to the Appalachian Mountains, it's pretty nasty. Like, I gotta take Zip, and I gotta like double dose them on the tick repellent and stuff like that. And then mead, they love to just chill right here at the nape of my neck.
Yeah.
Because like it's right perfect where the hat drops and everything, and those things freak me out.
See, with all the mountain bike riding here in SoCal, the years I've been doing it, only one time I've ever got a tick on me, ever.
Really? See, I've spent time down Pasadena, I think, like that, wherever the Sierra Classic was, and I was filming there, and I was on the downhill slopes, and then there was this little low ride and branch, and I knew right when I did it that I was going to be in trouble, because I was tired, I was near the bottom, I like kind of dipped down, but not far enough. It grazed my head, and then you know, later in that shower, when I got back to the hotel, I was shampooing my hair, and I had 2 ticks, boom, right there and there. I am very unlucky when it comes to ticks, and so is Zip. When I in the West Virginia, because he likes to go into the brush and all that stuff, and in the briars, he'll come back home, and I'll probably find 10 of them on him. And pretty nasty stuff.
Really?
Yeah, he's a magnet.
Now, Living Survival says that he likes watching channels where people actually go out and show the use of a product in real-world application. You know, I agree with that. There's times I do tabletop reviews, one just due to time constraints, or I just calendar I can't get out in the woods, because for me it's a 45 or a 50-minute drive to get up to elevation where there's trees, because being in SoCal in the coastal canyons, I don't think you want to see cholla, cactus, and sagebrush. I don't know. If you do, send me a PM. But
I'll tell you right now, cacti are cool, at least for like the first hour.
Until you hit it on a mountain bike.
Yeah. I've seen some bad videos where people have gone over the bars into like a patch of cacti, and then they had to like pull them off.
Oh, it's like a magnet out here. If it gets close to me, it's like, boom, it's on me. But yeah, I like to get out and do real-world stuff as much as possible, because I think, like, taking that viewer for granted that they know what the application that tool is supposed to be used for, I mean, you just can't assume, and it's nice for them. They see it in action, and that's why I kind of been doing those shootout videos lately, to kind of give folks, okay, you make up your mind on what's the best and pick what's best for you. Because what works for me, Bryan, may not work for you or may not work for Andy.
Yeah, and I like those kind of videos too. I will say it's a challenge when you're working a full-time job. You've got other commitments, you know, and that's kind of what I'll try to show on my channel, that you can still have a good time. You can still learn these skills. Maybe you have to practice them in your backyard, you know. I'm lucky enough, I build campfires in my backyard. And I tell you, a lot of my videos are in my backyard, because that's where I've got, you know, that's the time I have to do it. You know, we're going camping. I'm going camping in maybe a couple of weeks with the Boy Scouts, and I'm planning on taking my camera and probably annoying everybody, you know. But I'm gonna try to make some, you know, try to do some. One of the things I'm gonna try to do is just do like some basic, covering some basic categories of gear, like, you know, different choices in tents maybe, and different sleeping bags or different stoves and stuff, that because there'll be a lot of people there with a lot of different gear, so I give me a chance to really capture some of it and show some different choices, and hopefully we can get some skill stuff in there too. Probably some fire videos. I kind of dig fire.
Mm-hmm.
I like building fires.
One of the things for me is, like, I like doing the skill stuff a lot more than doing park videos. But even if and it takes a lot longer to do a skills video for me, because there's so many different things I have to film on it. And it seems that they don't get nearly as much attention as I would like compared to if I do a product video. So it's kind of a necessary evil, I think, for me, just because I don't like pushing too much consumerism, so I'm pretty selective in the kind of gear that I bring out. And a lot of people probably wonder, like, why I never really give anything a bad review. And that's because if I'm going to give it a bad review, I'm not going to spend 3 days to film it, another 2 days to edit, and then, you know, have it be like a mediocre product. So it takes a lot of time, and I'm sure you understand that by now.
Yeah, that's why. As an example, I had those little cable saws you buy, you know, $2 or whatever, and I was going to do a little review on it. Well, the thing broke about 15 minutes into the video. After I had everything set up, I just put the camera up and said, "I'm not going to. Why waste your time going through the edit? Because it takes longer to edit it than it does to shoot it, you know."
Yeah.
And it's just that's what I'm learning. To do a 10-minute video, I've got about 4 hours in it, minimum. Yeah.
But if it's something that broke in your backyard that might break out on the trail, it might be important for your viewers to know, because they might be thinking, "Hey,
yeah,
I can put my life in this piece of kit's hands, and it could cost them their life."
Yeah, and that's where you got to kind of that's the decision you have to make. Because I don't like doing negative reviews either, because I think there's enough of those out there.
That's true.
You know, there's just everybody's trash. If you want to find something somebody trashing something, you can on YouTube. But that's where I'm trying to, you know, if it's something that's really going to be a danger, then maybe it's worth going ahead and pointing it out. But other than that, you can always, especially knives, man. There's so many people opinionated about knives. I know, you know, y'all both know this. I'm sure you get all kinds of comments when you do a knife video.
Oh my God! And being a designer too, I mean, how many people have told me that you can't baton with a Tacoma field knife? Yeah. Or, oh, it's gonna break at the spine. I'm like, look, all right, I get it. It's not conventional. The butt could have already snapped. But if my design wasn't going to be good, wasn't going to be made by Tops, then I wouldn't have made it. And it's like, well, that's why I chose Tops knives, because you might not like the design, but it's something you can bank your life on pretty much.
Right.
I don't know. Twang and Bang thrashed on it pretty hard.
You banged on it pretty good.
On that twisted piece of wood, I banged on it pretty hard.
Yep, and I actually have that knife right here on my desk.
Bryan, since you brought up about the knife question, it's funny you said that, because as soon as you talked about it, a question popped up from Prepare One. It says, "Bryan, what's your #1 go-to knife for a one-carry option in the woods?"
Right now, it is this knife right here, and that's just because it's Dave Canterbury's Pathfinder trade knife, and it's about $100. It's carbon steel. It's a pretty good knife, and I beat the heck out of it, and it's doing fine. Is it my #1 choice of all knives? Probably not, but it's just the one I have right now. I'm actually got my eye on one of those wonderful Andy Tran creations. I almost reserved one yesterday, but I'm kind of waiting just a little while to see. But there's just so many good knives out there. I agree with you guys. Morris is a great knife. That's what I've got a couple of Morris to start out with. I've got this little. That's just the Old Hickory Butcher knife. That's a really good knife for starting out. But for me, it's going to be the Pathfinder trade knife right now. That's what I usually have with me when I'm in the woods.
That's a good knife. A guy told me the best one to have is the one you have on you when you need it.
There you go. This is made by, I think you've got, this is Habilis Bush Tools. to make this knife? I think you've done some reviews on the Habilis bush tool.
Yeah, I have the bush tool.
Bush tool, yeah, it's the same guys. They're made in Georgia, which I like. So
there you go, a little shout out for the great state of Georgia.
there you go.
There's a lot of good things coming out of Georgia. But I mean, I don't want to be like battling out another knife. But what's your opinion between the Habilis bush tool and the Tacoma, John?
Oh, damn. Wait a minute. Let me get the...
Well, just because we have basically two of them right next to each other, we're talking about one tool options.
No pressure.
All right, you're going to make me break them out here if I can find it. Okay, well, you hold up yours and I'll hold up the Habilis.
All right.
I don't know. Seriously, in a head-to-head competition, guys, my honest opinion, and Andy and I are friends, I'd have to say that it's pretty close to being a tie for me. Other than what I would like to see on this Habilis is that the handle be a little more robust, because it's a little... I have a medium-sized hand, so it's fine to me, but folks that have a large or an extra large hand are finding that the knife will roll in their palm. For me, I don't have a problem with that. But they're both two distinctively different knives, but they both do quite a bit. I mean, Fire Striker, bow drill divot.
I like the Fire Striker that they put on it.
This is more of I would say more of a bushcrafter knife, because the boys at Habilis are bushcrafters. That's what they do. So when they designed that, they designed it to be, quote, a more bushcraft tasking knife, hence why they have the notch, why there's a scraper here for you're doing those bushcraft tasks, or they're what they call the anvil here. But kind of like that little roach belly design, works really good. Stays sharp as heck. And they even have it where it's a little bit sharp on the tail end of it, so if you're carving, say you're doing detailed work with spoons or you're profiling something, you're able to do that. Whereas when I think of your knife, I'm thinking more of a survival type knife where I'm going out in the woods, not necessarily, quote, a bushcrafter knife, because we're talking apples and oranges really between the two of them.
Yeah, I think if you're having fun, you're probably bushcrafting. If you're not having fun, you're probably surviving.
Well, there's folks that do fieldcraft. You know, how many YouTubers are doing escape and evasion videos? There's one guy, I think his name is Brent. I can't think of what his last call numbers are, but former Marine, does these camouflage videos, awesome videos, where he takes camouflage out, whether it's ATAX or multicam or Tiger Stripe, and takes them out in real-world settings, and you get to see, that's the type of thing where I envision your knife like in Iraq, Afghanistan, operators using that stuff. I mean, because both these knives are pretty freaking bomb-proof. I mean, a lot of people are making great stuff because the metal nowadays is taking it to the next level of they're able to do things now with metal that they weren't able to do in the 70s or even in the early 80s. So these knives now are possible. I mean, I remember watching Chris from Prepared Mind 101 who was joking around about that cheesy Rambo knife from the 80s.
Oh my gosh.
In the 80s, we all thought that knife was, the cat's meow. Nowadays, I mean, it's nothing. But the metal has taken it such a different way that folks are able to do things now, like with your knife, that wasn't possible 15 or 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago. It's just amazing what's being able to be done.
Yeah.
And that's why, my opinion on that, there's two camps. There's the hardcore bushcrafting camp, and a lot of them aren't Habilis fans either. They like the Moras. They like the Pathfinder knife or the Morse Kazansky knives and things like that. You know, and that's fine. That's the great thing about our community, is that it's okay to be different.
Yep. And I see a question, why didn't I go with SE knives? This knife was pretty much born to be a tops because of the heat treat and the styling and the design.
Yeah.
Pretty much is how that came about.
Now, I don't know if SE would have put a notch in the blade for you or not.
I wouldn't have trusted that because they temper through and through. And that's part of the problem with the Hoodlum, is it's tempered through and through.
I can't... Oh, here we go. This was a knife I carried before the Bush Tool and before the Tacoma, the RC4. You know, great little knife. But like we're talking different camps. You know, and that's the thing. You know, that's what we talked about. I think the last time we were live, where you start out with a Mora, and then if you decide, hey, I want to do this or that, then you spend the money and go buy that item. Rather than buy the item, the Ferrari, then realize, oh, I didn't like the Ferrari, I want to drive a Hummer. Well, you already spent the money.
Yeah.
I work too hard for my money. I don't know about the rest of the viewers, but
I just go for a tank. You know,
there
just
you go.
just a regular old tank.
But I mean, there's a lot of good things out there. Even the Brothers of Bushcraft knife. I mean, you and I have both reviewed that knife. Great knife, you know. But Tops makes great stuff like that. I mean, I own 5 or 6 Tops knives. They're great stuff because they heat treat their stuff the right way.
Yeah, and it's the design of my blade is not traditional, really, to say the least. So, and you look at all Estes knives, they're very traditional, plain, you know, full flat grind or saber grind. So it wouldn't really fit. It would stick out like a sore thumb, essentially, is how that would work out. But we're coming up here on an hour, and can we get a little bit of a preview, Brian, of things that we might be looking forward to on your channel in the very near future?
Sure. I'm going to do, like I said earlier, I got one series I'm trying to work on that's going to have basically just basic gear selection for different components. I'm going to talk about tents. I've done a couple on water bottles and I think on sleeping pads or something. We'll maybe talk about different stoves, camp stoves, from back into car camping stoves. Talk about different kind of tents and tarps versus tents and probably sleeping gear and some other gear like that. You know, as I get new gear or find gear, I just do reviews. I don't really, you know, it'd be great if people were sending me stuff to review, but they're not. So I have to spend my hard-earned money for it. So, you know, I'm not going to review stuff that I think is junk because I'm not going to buy it. And then hopefully some more skill stuff. And what I do sometimes, if you've probably seen, just like this, I did this knife sheath video, which looks really, really bad. But it was my first time, and sometimes what I'll do is, like you say, we're learning together. So I just turn the camera on and start and see what happens. And I think that's kind of maybe that's a different way of doing things, but it kind of helps us. We really are learning together. So if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, then we'll find out if it works or not together. So those are the kind of things I'm going to be doing. Hopefully, as summer comes, I'll be doing more camping, so I'll be more of the outdoors, actual hands-on instead of the backyard. And again, when I started my channel, I had 3 goals in place for videos. One, I wanted to do some skill reviews and talk about, you know, just share what knowledge I have. And do product reviews maybe, because I know nowadays with everybody buying everything on the internet, you never really know what you're getting. You're just looking at, you know, something on Amazon or off the website. So if I can show it in use, hands-on, maybe that helps somebody just making a decision. And the third thing is, you know, hopefully people will comment and give me, you know, their ideas on what they'd like to see, and I'll do my best to make those kind of videos. And hopefully they'll be entertaining and and somewhat informative, and I'm going to work on my production values, Andy, I promise.
Well, I mean, I can already see, you know, from when we first started talking, you're starting to ramp up. You know, you got all that stuff going on, and I see your channel going some really good places. For people that don't know, you know, like Ultimate Survivalist who just found the link, your channel is youtube.com/survival on purpose. There will be a link in the description of this video as well. Any last words any of you guys want to say?
One, I want to thank Bryan for coming out tonight to be with us. Me personally, I'm a fan of both these guys' videos, and that's one thing I love about YouTube. You know, you can have a channel that has 500 viewers that is just incredible, and you can have the mega channels like Canterbury that he does stuff. But the great thing is that there's guys and gals out there that are doing great things, and I'm just glad that Andy and I have gotten together where we can share channels like yours, Bryan, with folks that should be watching your channel. And I see great things for both of you guys in 2014. I told you guys episodes ago when we did live broadcasts, these guys here are rising stars, and if you don't get on board and subscribe to their YouTube channels, their Facebook pages, their Twitter, their Instagram, whatever the heck they got going on in social media, you're going to miss out, because there's great content that's coming up. There's great things in the work. Andy and I have talked offline. It's going to be a hell of a summer for Andy. I have things coming up. It's going to be a heck of a summer for me, and I'm sure it's going to be the same for you, Bryan. So the thing I love about this is I get so enthused by seeing folks getting out there, doing things, creating content, sharing ideas, showcasing stuff. It just makes me really excited and proud to be a fellow YouTuber, and I'm just blessed that I have you guys as friends and that we have folks that want to watch a couple guys sit and talk for an hour. So thank you for tuning in tonight.
Yes, and you know, thank you for all the people that posted up their questions. And you know, check back in 2 weeks. We're going to be doing another show, and we're probably going to have a couple special things going on during that show as well that we have in the works. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, I really enjoyed. Thank you guys for taking time out of your evening to come over to my channel and chat with me, and yeah. I very much appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Absolutely.
It's an honor.
Just remember, survival's not an accident. Be prepared.
All right. Take care, guys, and until next time, take care out there.
See you.
And my broadcast is stopping. Okay. We should be non-live. Nope.